internalize their unhappiness or act out. The latter usually appears as bad or difficult behavior, such as using abusive language, being aggressive or violent, damaging property, stealing, lying, refusing to comply with requests or expectations at school or home, or displaying other inappropriate actions. If such behavior is serious and persistent, the young person and his or her family might require professional help. Fifth, physical ill health diseases. Injuries and other physical problems often contribute to poor mental health and sometimes mental illness. Some physical causes, such as birth trauma, brain injury, or drug abuse, can directly affect brain chemistry and contribute to mental illness. More commonly, poor physical health can affect self-esteem and people's ability to meet their goals, which leads to unhappiness or even depression. In such cases, receiving the best possible treatment for both a physical problem and the resulting psychological consequences is key to optimal recovery to good mental health. Sixth, abuse. Abuse may be physical, sexual, psychological, or verbal. It may not always be evident or easily recognized. Regardless of the form it takes, abuse cannot be tolerated. Abuse can cause feelings of low self-esteem, lack of self-confidence, depression, isolation, and anger, all feelings that impair a person's chance to lead a happy life. Trust in others and feelings of being safe and cared for are key components to recovery from abuse. Support is critical, and professional counseling is sometimes required. If abuse is discovered early, the chances of a person returning to a healthy state of mind and avoiding serious mental disorders are greatly enhanced. Next, 6 habits that will help you build mental strength or train mental health. A common thought that is the absence of mental health disorder means that a person is mentally fit and emotionally well, but according to Rachel O'Neill, a licensed professional clinical counselor, that's a dangerous misconception. An individual can certainly experience periods of stress, discomfort, sadness, or anxiety without necessarily meeting criteria for a mental health disorder, she said. Mental wellness is a process, and just like physical health, it's an ongoing process to maintain mental and emotional wellness. And surprisingly, trying or stressful times can be the ultimate test of mental fitness. When we are winded by a major life event, being able to recover quickly requires significant mental strength and psychological resilience. The benefits of being mentally fit means we are able to use our mental abilities to our fullest extent, allowing us to be more creative and make the most of opportunities as they present themselves, and approach stressful situations more calmly and with less anxiety. So, what can you do to increase your mental fitness levels? First, focus on one thing at a time, birds flying fall weather. That only means that multitasking is worn as a badge of honor, but multitasking too much is not healthy. Practice being present. When you are spending time with your friends, really listen to what is being said. Turn off your phone and try to forget the running to-do lists in your head. Second, set aside time to move your body when exercising. Physical and mental health go hand in hand and should not be considered separate, as poor mental health can lead to poor physical health and vice versa, said Kimberly Leach, a Talkspace therapist based in New York City. Other important benefits include enhanced mood and energy, reduced stress, deeper relaxation, improved mental clarity, learning, insight, memory and cognitive functioning, enhanced intuition, creativity, assertiveness, and enthusiasm for life, and improved social health and relationships, higher self-esteem, and increased spiritual connection. Third, give yourself a daily mindfulness break, mindfulness book. which only connotes that you need to set aside 1 to 2 minutes each day to decompress. Check in with your body and assess how you are feeling, O'Neill said. There are a number of great apps that can help you incorporate a structured mindfulness practice, or you can simply develop a practice that works for you. Just 1 week of brief daily mindfulness meditation practice has been found to produce a significant improvements in attention, energy, and stress. Fourth, carve out self-care time choosing a book. Give yourself an afternoon or evening to engage in something that you truly enjoy doing. It can be exercising, reading, binge watching your favorite show essentially. Make a date with yourself to do something fun that's just for you. Fifth, set limits and stick with them, taking a picture of a friend. Living in a success-driven society has its advantages, but it also has disadvantages like burnout, which is really a real concern when you're trying to have it all. A fulfilling career, an Instagram-worthy time with friends, and a happy family life. Remember that it is okay to say no sometimes, to the extent it is possible. Set boundaries within your professional and personal life so that you are not overextending yourself. Sixth, don't be afraid to reach out for a helping hand while hiking. Seeking help is often the first step towards getting and staying well, but it can be so hard to know how to start or where to turn to. It's common to feel unsure and to wonder whether you should try to handle things on your own. Remember that it's okay to say no sometimes. But to put it simply, there's never a wrong time to seek help, O'Neill said. And we should always remember that a healthy mind is the greatest treasure to find. And that concludes my presentation. Hope you guys have learned something from it. Good day and God bless everyone. The next topic will be psychological first aid, leading to supporting people in the aftermath of crisis events. The World Mental Health Day 2016 is an annual event which aims to raise awareness of mental health issues across the globe, mobilize efforts in support of mental health. Mental health problems are an extremely important issue worldwide due to their impact on the human rights and the quality of life of those affected and their families. At this time, we will be accentuating on the following: what PFA is and is not, who, when, and where of PFA. Next, why PFA or psychological first aid. The last, the PFA action principles. What is PFA? It is a humane, supportive, and practical assistance to fellow human beings who recently suffered a serious stressor. Non-intrusive practical care and support, assessing needs and concerns, helping people to address basic needs, food, water, listening but not pressuring people to talk. Moreover, it is also comforting people and helping them to feel calm, helping people connect to information, services, and social supports. Lastly, protecting people from further harm. Next, what PFA is not. It is not something only professionals can do, not professional counseling, not a clinical or psychiatric intervention, although can be part of good clinical care, not psychological debriefing, not asking also to analyze what happened or put time and events in order. In addition, not pressuring people to tell you their story or asking details about how they feel or what happened. Why PFA? Because people do better over the long term if they feel safe, connected to others, calm and hopeful, have access to social and physical emotional support, and that is also regaining a sense of control of being able to help themselves. Next, who, when, and where of PFA. Who can benefit from PFA? Of course, boys, Girls, women, and men who have recently experienced a crisis event and are distressed. Some people need more than PFA alone, such as people with life-threatening injuries or unable to care for themselves or for their children. When? When should PFA be provided? When encountering a person in distress, usually immediately following a crisis event. And where should PFA be provided? Of course, anywhere that is safe for the helper and affected person, ideally with some privacy as appropriate to the situation. How to help responsibly? First, adopt what you do take account of a person's culture. Respect safety, dignity, and rights. Safety. Don't expose people to further harm. Ensure as best as you can they are safe and protected from further physical or psychological harm. Dignity. Treat people with respect and according to their cultural and social norms. Rights. Act only in people's best interest. Ensure access to impartial assistance without discrimination. Assist people to claim their rights and access available support. Next, the PFA Action Principles. As you can see, we have 3 L's. Look, listen, and link. Look. You need to observe for safety. Observe for people with obvious urgent basic needs. Observe for people with serious distress reactions. Next, listen. Make contact with people who may need support. Ask about people's needs and concerns. Listen to people and help them feel calm. And last, link. Help people address basic needs and access services. Help people cope with problems. Give information. And connect people with loved ones and social support. We have also Dignity in Mental Health PFA for All. PFA can be provided by professionals and non-professionals alike. Everyone should have access to PFA following a crisis event as part of the spectrum of mental health and psychosocial support. PFA is widely used for disaster preparedness and response by the governments, United Nations, and NGOs. The resources are freely available and adapted to local languages and contexts. And we should not always forget that we need to acknowledge the person's strengths and how they have helped themselves. Talk less, listen more. And this ends my presentation. Good day and God bless everyone.
Battling crisis intervention. Crisis is conquered through a positive combination of talents and competencies. In recent days, it's become commonplace to call COVID-19 an unprecedented crisis, or it means not experienced before. It is politically convenient cliché, implicitly letting leaders in many Western nations off the hook for their manifestly slow and insufficient responses to the pandemic. How could they be expected to know what to do when confronted by a completely unfamiliar enemy? This way of thinking ignores, however, that Asian countries such as South Korea, Singapore, and Taiwan did appear to have adequately prepared. Their swift, effective action in the early days and weeks of the crisis helped them skirt a disaster on the order of what has tragically unfolded in Italy. Although the world has not seen a pandemic as infectious and lethal as a COVID-19 in quite some time, these countries had learned enough from their bitter experience with the SARS epidemic to take the threat seriously and act accordingly. They also reacted and learned on the spot from each other. Despite having more time to coordinate their response, leaders in many Western nations appeared to have failed the crisis management test. In reality, there are very few truly unprecedented crises. More often than not, leaders simply freeze in front of a crisis. Surveying the past with an objective, rational attitude should give any leader a general yet accurate enough idea of the threats they may encounter. And once a potential danger becomes actual, there are basic principles that experienced crisis managers can adapt to suit the situation. Many of the principles one of us learned through many years of fighting crisis in the world of finance readily apply to COVID-19. These principles can be organized into 5-phase framework that we feel is applicable to a wide variety of real-world crises. Phase 1. Engage all in framing the crisis and get your framing right. The relative success of the Asian countries in tackling COVID-19 began with framing, an essential first step if crisis managers are to have any hope of coordinating a meaningful response. Identifying patterns in how crises unfold and in how people respond to them comes with experience. These patterns repeat themselves and need to be rapidly identified. The appropriate framing for European countries such as Italy and France would have stressed flattening the curve in order to prevent the collapse of the healthcare system. Another is to immediately protect and prioritize the most vulnerable. Once devised, the framing should be communicated to all those whose cooperation is needed or who would be affected. Phase 2. Explore the crisis and how to fight it. As you start to fight the crisis, priorities and planning must be clearly communicated. Remember, how we got into the situation is not how we get out of it. A delicate balance must be sustained between realism and hope, between acclimatization to uncertainty and commitment to transparency. Instead of aspirational or disingenuous promises of everyone emerging from the crisis unscotched, foster down-to-earth expectations by focusing on the most pressing and achievable goals. At the same time, generous information sharing removes opacity from the crisis management process and empowers those not directly engaged in decision-making. Phase 3. Explain what you have decided, why and how it will work, then commit to action. In a crisis, inaction always makes the problem worse. A failed action may teach you something that leads to a breakthrough, but failure can lead to a panic, chaos, and a loss of credibility unless you prepare the ground beforehand. Crisis managers should go into a battle with at least 3 lines of defense, a strategy also adopted in military, banking, business unit, control function, internal audit, and other contexts. Explain the logic informing your plans and convey clearly to all your stakeholders that should the first attempt fail, there are 2 less preferred but still possibly viable maneuvers up your sleeve. Phase 4. Execute with focus and constant monitoring. You won't know whether your strategy is working unless you rely on the right metric, one that authentically reflects results and generates trust in the leadership. Choosing the wrong metric, by contrast, cannot only misrepresent success as failure or vice versa, but also can lead to snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. With COVID-19, for example, focusing only on death counts can be misleading and despair-inducing, since a disproportionate number of those who succumb to the virus are aged and infirm. Phase 5. Evaluate, learn and adapt efforts as well as your leadership as new information and feedback comes in. Humility, a valuable leadership attribute in the best of times, becomes essential during a crisis. Inevitably, you will make mistakes. It's how you respond that will prove your leadership mettle. Crisis highlights a leader's true character, as it's very difficult to convincingly pretend for an extended period of time to the public. Frankly admitting responsibility displaying proactive willingness to change course and consulting openly with others on the new direction will prevent errors from fatally undermining the collective effort. Remember the 5-phase framework: engage, explore, explain, execute, and evaluate. The right time to prepare. As crisis recedes, it reveals opportunities for remedial action. Fresh, painful experiences produce a rare degree of political will to prevent future crises. The exaltation of survival spurs high morale and hopefulness. Presumably, this unique combination of emotional conditions will prevail when the COVID-19 lockdowns are finally lifted. Good crisis managers will capitalize on the moment rather than drift towards complacency. The flaws in preparedness and responsiveness that this pandemic has exposed in our supply chains, political leadership, healthcare, public policy, among others, should not be forgotten. Thank you for watching and listening. God bless and be safe, everyone.
Good day, everyone. This is Shizame B. Madrid, and I am going to discuss to you about responsible parenthood. This includes qualities, 10 principles, and necessities of responsible parenthood. Responsible parenthood is an ability of parents to detect the need of happiness and desire of children and helping them to become responsible and responsible children. It is the shared responsibility of husband and wife to determine and achieve the desired number, spacing, and timing of their children according to their own family life aspirations and concerns. Doesn't limit only on fulfilling the demand of children and rearing them up properly, but goes beyond that. Qualities of responsible parenthood. Number 1. Marriage should be done at the right age, as right age at marriage helps to start a new life and new family in a right time. Number 2. The size of a family should be decided by both parents together. Number 3. Being responsible parents also refers to becoming parents at the right age, where both of them are physically and mentally mature to start a family. And number 4. Proper spacing between the births of children is also necessary for health of a mother and child. This also assures that every child receives the attention and care they deserve. There are 10 principles of responsible parenting. Number 1. What you do matters. This is one of the most important principles. Children learn from the parents. They see, observe, imitate, and adapt the behavior of the parents. One needs to act the same way that they want their children to be. Number 2. You cannot be too loving. Everybody loves their children, but the love of parents should never spoil them. In fact, it's the things like leniency, material possession that spoils them. Parents need to be careful on that matters. Number 3, be involved in your child's life. It is necessary for parents to be involved in child's life in both physical way and mental way. Parents needs to talk to them and also listen them carefully. Parents should manage to provide at least 15 minutes of undivided attention towards their children every day. Number 4, adapt your parenting to fit your child. Parents need to keep the track and pace with their child's development. And parents need to understand the children's milestone as per the age. Number 5, establish and set rules. Parents need to maintain and regulate the child's behavior. Strict actions and punishment may also be required. Parents can set up the rules and make children follow them. Rules can simply vary from table rules to curfew rules. Number 6, foster your child's independence. A responsible parent needs to teach their children self-control and encourage independence. Parents should teach them to make responsible decisions and shouldn't frequently intervene in their choices. Number 7, be consistent. Consistency is the key to disciplines. Rules for children shouldn't change from day to day. This makes the children confused. Before that, the parents need to make sure that the rules made are logical and based on valid reason and are not just imposition of power. Number 8, avoid harsh discipline. Parents should never adopt the harsh way. They should never hit a child under any circumstances. This has negative impacts on child. Punishment should be mild and used carefully. Number 9, explain your rules and decisions. Good parents have clear expectations. They communicate this to their children in clear way and explain them as per their age. And lastly, treat your children with respect. Children should be treated with equal respect. Their views, opinions should be listened and valued. Speak politely. Treat them kindly. This is the best way to teach them how to treat and respect others. Necessities of responsible parenthood. Number 1, maintain healthy family size. Responsible parenting is concerned with maintaining the desired size of family, maintaining the spacing, and having desired family size. The decision is made based on the health status, social, and economic concerns. This will further help parents in responsibly handling the situation in the future and also prepares them to face challenge. Next is support. Children require the support of the parents. Responsible parenting will help in building the supportive relation between children and parents. Parents would be able to support their children in every steps of their life. And next one is morality. Children learns from the parents. They become what their parents are. Responsible parenting is necessary to teach children the right behavior, culture, and healthy habits and morals, and also to guide in right direction throughout. Others, encouraging independent thought. It is duty of parents for better controlling over the children. Responsible parenting is also necessary to avoid a financial burden and stay prepared. Let us always remember that parenthood is a difficult task requiring great commitment. Thank you for listening.
Dear God, as this meeting comes to an end, we thank you for the time you have given us. Thank you for the chance to acquire different knowledge from our facilitators throughout the service journey. Help us now to carry this new knowledge and experiences in our mind and put into actions. We thank you for your guidance to fulfill the agenda that is in service journey. May you bless us all and protect us with your holy will. All this we pray in the precious name of our Lord